Man, I went Thursday and Friday, so
Oh snap! You ahead of me.
man, yep. I took notes this time too,
Cool, cool.
so I wouldn't forget nothing.
Peace, peace, everybody. It's your brother, Mr. Holipsism. I'm here with Thuro
Peace.
Essex. Peace. Minister Dawud is probably late. He'll probably come in at some point. But this discussion today, or tonight, I should say, is about Avengers Endgame, and this is going to be a spoiler review. So if you haven't seen the movie, which is crazy to me if you haven't seen it yet,
Hmm.
then don't listen to this. Archive it, check it another time. And keep in mind this one is anti-SJW tears not included. So I always have to put that on there because I'm tired of these butthurt dudes, man.
Hmm.
But anyway, before we get into any like details or really dig in, what's your first impressions when you first saw it? I know you've seen it a couple of times, but what was when you first saw it the first time? What were your first impressions?
I actually want you to go first.
Oh, you do.
Yeah.
I Somebody has said this. It was actually you ever heard of that girl, comic book girl 19?
No.
Okay,
Oh, is
yeah,
it the
she
white
does.
chick?
Yeah,
Yeah.
she
Okay, I
does
know what you're
like
talking about.
these. She does these reviews,
Yeah.
and she does cover comics. And she said something that I thought was interesting. Like she said, when it comes to Marvel, she said it's funny because she compared it like she used an analogy that a woman would use. She said that Marvel is like a competent lover.
Hmm.
She said that when you get used to a person, you just know what you're doing.
Yeah.
So when she goes, she just says, when I go and see a Marvel movie, I know I'm going to be satisfied because I know they know what they're doing.
Hmm.
And
I
I
agree
feel
with
the
that.
same way. That it's like these guys, or especially like I don't know if you've been into the background stuff because that's the stuff that I really find interesting. Like I love when the Russos give interviews or when they give interviews with the writers because I like hearing about their process. And those guys are really collaborative. The writers, the directors. Um, I'm gonna give one spoiler already off the bat. So if you're still listening, you're in trouble because this week every time we talk is gonna be a spoiler.
Hmm.
But you remember when they were trying to pick between Scarlet Witch? No, not Scarlet Witch. Natasha and Hawkeye.
Yes.
Their decision was made by an intern. Like their ultimate like decision when they decided who was actually going to be the one to go.
Wow.
Because they said like because they was like I said they would do a script and they would send it around the people around them to get a sense of whether they're going in the right direction or whether it works. And when they gave it to the intern said, "You can't take this away from her."
Hmm.
And they was like, "Oh, okay." And that's what made them pick her. I thought that was interesting. So it's like they have input from all the people around them. So it's really like a collaborative effort, and that's probably the reason why they hit so many notes that resonate for us. Because you got
Hmm.
nothing but fans. And the crazy part about it is the fans are so loyal. They're not even worried about leaks because everybody wants the shit to be successful.
Hmm.
So
And
that's what.
to piggyback on what you just said, I also I read or heard that they for that scene with the in Ragnarok when Thor was like, I work with him when he saw the Hulk,
Yeah,
that they got that from a kid. A kid
right.
told them that and they said, we're gonna use that.
Exactly. That's what I'm talking about. Like stuff like that is just it just goes to show these guys really are fans of the material and they really respect the fan base. Like unlike anything I've ever seen. Like if you can think of another franchise that does it like them, I would love to know who they are because not even Star Wars does that.
No, no, it's definitely new. This is
Yeah,
they're creating as ODB said, I'm the father of my own style, and that's what they are.
exactly, exactly. And
They
I personally don't think. Well, you know what? Before I get into that, let me really respond to your question. My first impressions. Um, My first impressions was satisfaction. When I left the theater, I felt really satisfied. You know, like that was the overriding thought. And it was like people said, I heard people say that it was emotional, but it really was. Like there were they hit a lot of emotional notes in this movie. At the same time, it was humorous too. But that's what Marvel does. They know how to balance that.
Hmm.
And I just thought it was a fitting conclusion. Like when it was all over, I don't think anybody really could complain about that conclusion.
Yes, I agree. Now, from my perspective, I was a little nervous with the first two acts because I'm not really a fan of like overly campy stuff.
Hmm.
I like laughs, but I like a more serious tone with laughs sprinkled in like Winter Soldier.
Right.
So I was kind of scared. I ain't gonna front. And then of course, when the third act came, that's when it was like, this is the greatest thing ever.
No, that third act is gonna be hard to tie. I don't know how you're gonna go forward after that and top that third act. I think that movie was so big that you're gonna have to refocus and kind of get on a Logan level and get smaller
Hmm.
and get more character driven stuff, because to try to do that, I don't think this will ever be done again. Personally, I just don't think. I think that this was like a perfect storm, because it's all this like, even in terms of the actors' willingness to participate. All of those actors participate in this film. A lot of big salaries, and especially now that people know that this is like $1 billion, $2 billion franchise, possibly three. Because if it's made $1.5 billion so far in one fucking weekend, I don't know why people are thinking that it's not going to really break this Avatar record.
Yep.
I really don't see how they can say that, because I already know. Like I looked online to get tickets, and those tickets for next weekend is sold out.
Hmm.
So it's going to be another huge weekend this
Oh yeah,
coming up.
they
It
already
might
put the
push it.
article out.
Yeah, it
It's
might
already
push it
gonna be
over.
2 billion
Yeah, in two
by Saturday.
weekends, that's
Yeah.
crazy. And then if it makes 2 billion in 2 weekends, then you know how it is when everybody just jumps on the strap. Everybody's going to want to see it, because they like, whoa, two
Hmm.
billion in 2 weekends. I got to see this, and then it's going to start pulling in a lot of people who weren't even into these movies. They probably like what you know. What, there was one statistic that I found really interesting. Captain Marvel had its run and was almost out after after Endgame came out. Captain Marvel was the number 2 movie.
Yep. It's
So
number two
it
now.
went from like 10 to something and jumped 8. I never seen that shit before.
Hmm. Because a lot of people didn't care about that character, even though it made $1 billion.
Hmm.
They didn't really care. It was like, and then
Right,
after they saw Endgame, they're like, yo, I got to see what that movie was now,
right.
or what is she? How does she come about? So makes sense.
And Captain Marvel, like I said, was a solid movie, but it wasn't anything. It was like, I would say, between, where would I put it? Ant-Man and Doctor Strange.
It's
Would that
definitely
be
not Doctor
accurate?
Strange.
No, I say between those.
Yeah, I would say it's just like 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 they said it would be. It's a beginning phase type movie. So it's
Right.
comparable with Captain America, um, which I don't get how people hated on that first Captain America. I actually liked it.
I don't understand why they hated it either. I mean, I
Yeah,
thought it was good. I thought it was a solid entry.
yeah.
It definitely established his character. I mean,
Hmm.
I think what it is that people love comparing shit. So when Winter Soldier came out, if you compare it to Winter Soldier, then yeah, you know.
Hmm.
But Winter Soldier was a totally different tonally movie than that.
Yep. That
So
was our introduction to the Russos.
right.
So okay, so let's get into the details
Hmm.
of the movie. So I guess I can go with a because I did get my nerd on. I was like trying to find all the damn Easter eggs and all the conspiracies and all that kind of stuff. So I know a particular person was mad. She was like, "Hey, you need to call me. We need to talk about that Hulk situation in in Endgame." A lot of people were disappointed well, I won't say a lot, but there were people disappointed in the Hulk character.
But
'Cause they,
just to say, I will say this. I can agree with that because I don't think anybody is as big a Hulk fan as me. But
Mhm.
I think that that's like a minor complaint compared to the overall execution of the movie. Because there's always going to be something that people are going to be unsatisfied with. You
Yeah.
know, when you have that many things, there's so many directions. Like I heard somebody say that they were disappointed because when Captain America was
Wait. Let's
yield.
say no. Wait. Let's stick with the Hulk right quick.
Okay.
Let's just stick right with the Hulk.
Hmm.
So some of the things that people were mad with, well, I think one of the main reasons that they were, I wouldn't say mad, but confused for a
Hmm.
couple of reasons. Number one, I tell people like, yo, you remember my cheat sheet to watching movies, right? What I always say.
Hmm.
Okay, my cheat sheet is when you're watching a movie is writers have to find a creative way to bring down the overpowered characters as to not mess up the movie. They
Right.
have to do that because the movie would end before it starts. You
Right.
can't have overpowered Hulk, overpowered Thor, overpowered Captain Marvel in the beginning of a movie. That won't
Right.
work. The
Right.
movie would be over. You get what I'm saying? So you have to find creative ways to make these overpowered characters fit. And so when it came to the Hulk, which um, if you people have to look at these movies as ongoing, not because it's called Endgame that this is the end. It's not the end. You have to
Hmm.
realize what they're doing in this movie is going to affect what they do after this movie. So with the Hulk, they actually went from Ragnarok, which people have to remember the Hulk in Ragnarok, and then him being in Infinity War and then to Endgame. And so in Ragnarok, the Hulk was no longer Banner. He got to be free.
Right.
He got to be himself. He got to chill. He got to be who he wants to be. That ego side of the Hulk. Okay, so that he never wanted Banner to come back. So then, if you go to Infinity War, of course he got his ass whooped, and he got turned back into Banner, which he didn't want that to happen. And I would like I still don't get how that happened. I don't know if it was a spell. I don't know what caused him to transform back. I'm not sure.
Hmm.
But the Hulk, if you read the comics, is always in an inner battle with Banner. So
Right.
they always have this back and forth. He has like 3 or 4 personalities inside of him that's always fighting each other to see who's going to be the one that comes out when he gets angered or whatever.
Hmm.
So the Hulk was having that kind of issue with him, but in Infinity War, people just didn't understand that it was happening. So it was always a beef that they already had. So that's why the Hulk didn't want to come out because he didn't want to be used. He didn't want to be, as Banner said in Endgame, to be seen as a disease.
Right.
You follow what I'm saying? To
Hmm.
where it's like, well, I only want you when I need to go hurt somebody, but other than that, I'm gonna suppress you. I'm gonna do my best to try to stop you from coming out.
Right.
So that's why in after Thanos, snapped away everything, and the time, they time elapsed. It was 5 years, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so after 5 years, he figured out how to blend the Hulk and Banner together, which is a character called Professor Hulk, and that was in the comics. So it was an actual comic book character.
Right.
And so with Professor Hulk, he's not as strong as the real Hulk because he doesn't have like the anger to aid his strength.
Hmm.
But and if you notice, he was more peaceful because that's what Banner is.
Right.
So I know that pissed people off, but
Yeah.
in my
Hmm.
in my opinion, now this is just my opinion, they're setting up what they're about to do with Disney Plus, and that's the She-Hulk TV show.
Hmm.
And so I think that they're trying to get people used to the idea that a Hulk can exist without being crazy and savage. You
Right.
follow what I'm saying?
Hmm.
So they're trying because the She-Hulk is based off of that. She's based off of she could turn back and forth at will, and
Hmm.
her mind doesn't change. So I think they're kind of trying to get people used to that idea. You want me to go on to my second point with the Hulk, or do you have something to say?
Yeah, I wanted to talk about that. I understand that the logic behind it totally. I think what disappointed people was that you first of all, like we already know that the Thanos beating Hulk in the movie in the MCU is something that never happened in the comics. Never happened. They've actually never had a fight, and I sort of understand why, because the Hulk's whole thing is being the strongest. That's his whole stick. So if you
Mm-hmm.
take that away from him, then then you basically render him useless. My problem with, and the thing that disappointed me was that there was never a Thanos Hulk rematch, even if it was just for a short exchange. I think that would have satisfied people. But I totally understand what
It
you're
actually
saying.
wouldn't have. It actually wouldn't have, and I'm gonna tell you why. Because in it, well, which is us leaking outside of Hulk, but the movie was written to put a button on or a bow on the Trinity, which is Iron Man, Captain America, Thor.
Hmm.
That was the point of Endgame, to like put a so-called conclusion to the 10 years of what started it, right?
Right.
So the only thing the Hulk could have did was got punched like Captain Marvel did out of the scene to where they could make Tony Stark the Jesus of the movie, which he was. He sacrificed his life or whatever. So the Hulk would have got beaten again. That's what would have happened because they would have had to bring the scene to Tony Stark. So there's no way he was going to have a good exchange with Thanos.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. And actually I thought that's the same thing that you're saying. I thought that it's just that god damn it, man. It's like after the first Infinity War, Hulk fans was expecting to see the rematch somehow. But you're right. It wouldn't have worked. And that's probably the reason why they didn't do it.
So
It just would not have worked.
how would people have felt if he'd have got his ass whooped twice?
Oh, it would have been even worse. Like
Yeah.
so it would if those are the options that they probably just chose, well let's not because like that's why he used the gauntlet. He brought everybody back. And oh, I'm not yeah, I gotta touch on this. Another thing that bothers me about how they treated the Hulk in the MCU is that they've totally not even touched on the angrier he gets, the stronger he gets thing.
Hmm.
They have not touched on his healing factor. Like, all right, his arm got damaged from the thing. Big deal. The Hulk would probably regenerate within a few minutes off of that. If it was the comic book Hulk, you know what I'm saying?
But he's
So
Professor
they
Hulk.
never, right? They never, even Professor Hulk has a healing factor.
Okay, so let me that was another rant that I heard, the nerdum, get mad about. And it's the fact that you remember when Thanos, when he got all the stones, it
Hmm.
energized his body and he made, I keep saying this, but it's the only analogy I can come up with. It was like an orgasmic experience for
Right.
him when it surged
Exactly.
in his body. He's like, oh.
Right.
So, and then people were like, well, when the Hulk did it, it was like he was about to die when he put it on.
Hmm.
Put when he got all the stones. And the theory is that Thanos, because they're supposed to be in the movies pre-equivalent strength wise, pretty much the same.
Right.
Um, Thanos was getting one stone at a time, which was acclimating his body.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah, it was acclimating his body, and so um, he got used to somebody was trying to call me. That's what just took my
Oh,
mind
okay.
off of it. Yeah, so he got to get his body acclimated to the stones, and then all the way to the last stone, which was the most surge, but he was already kind of acclimated to it.
Right.
And so when the Hulk did it, he took on all the stones at one time,
Exactly.
which is completely different. You taking on like the power of the universe with those stones, and
Right.
he took it all at one time.
And you're talking about the weakest version of the Hulk taking it on too.
Yeah.
So that plus, yeah, I totally, I
And
get
wait,
it.
one more point. One more point. I have to type. I have to text this person.
Okay.
He also when Thanos was taking on the power gems, he had one of the greatest gauntlets to hold that power in from like these master builders, whereas the Hulk had on Tony Stark's armor.
Right.
That's not going to protect him, from the stones.
Right.
Like that gauntlet.
Yeah, the gauntlet was specifically made for it.
Yes. From people who deal with those type of things. So it's a different effect on his body. It tore Thanos' arm up too, and his face. But Banner took on the whole force of all that because he didn't have anything, and he took it all at one time with an inferior gauntlet to hold the power.
Right. And if you notice, 5 years later, Thanos' arm was still damaged. Like it was basically useless. So
it was a wrap.
Yeah, Thanos doesn't regenerate like the Hulk does. But yeah, man, that's the reason why, like I said, I was slightly disappointed by that, but it's not a deal breaker for me because the movie was so just damn good in the way that they handle it. And like you said, everything you said is 100% true. It's like there was no way to really fit. And I was thinking that too, as I saw the big three. Like, you got Captain Marvel and you got the Hulk. It's no way. No way.
Yeah.
They would have had to have Hulk get beat again.
He would have got beaten. That's
in order
what
to justify, and then people would have really been pissed off. So I guess they made the right decision.
And
he did get some bite. I mean, he did yield the gauntlet. And he did bring people back, so he did get something. He was involved in it. So I guess that was their way of justifying it.
Because even with Captain Marvel, people assumed that she was going to be like a major part of the movie. And she did do what people thought she was going to do. It was just early in the movie. She came back. She said, let's go get Thanos. And she helped hold him down while they whooped him. You know what I'm saying?
That was probably my favorite part of the movie because it just totally shitted on all of those theories. Nobody was, because if the way that they set it up, and they so slick the way they did it, they had everybody thinking, well, damn, if this is the first few minutes of the movie, and the movie's 3 hours long, then everybody just logically figured, well, they were going to go and try to get Thanos and fail. And actually, it was the exact opposite. And that's what I loved. I loved the writing in that because nobody really expected it. So when they went in and they were successful, they did exactly what they said they were going to do.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, the stones were gone. So that was good. I like that bit of writing.
And what tripped me out is that from what I heard, reading stuff, over the years, is that Marvel was never going to show a beheading.
Yeah.
So that kind of shocked me.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? True. And so, but that was, and then you notice, dealing with my cheat sheet, to watching movies, after they did that, Captain Marvel was like, hey, I got to go now. They had to get her out of the story because if she went time traveling with them, she would have went and whooped everybody. You know what I'm saying? Like there would be no point in having the movie. And that's why I tell people like, yo, man, you have to know how like comic books are written and stuff like that to know why they have to do certain things, even though you want to see punch all day long, which in essence would turn into a DC movie, and which is why people don't like DC movies, because all they do is punch people into walls, throw them in the air, and they don't die. Like you don't want that type of movie.
Right.
So they get the OP characters, the overpowered characters out of the way, or find a creative way to write them, to minimize them as to tell the story, or it just wouldn't make sense.
Yeah.
Okay. So let me go to another point. So another thing that they did was, I mean, I got a lot of points I want to make, but they set up the Young Avengers. Did you notice that?
Yep.
So, well, the characters in there besides Ant-Man's daughter, let's see, Ant-Man's daughter, I think she's the only one that's in the comics that's an actual Young Avenger. From what I was reading, I don't know what they're doing with it right now, but like she, I don't even think it had anything to do with the Pym particles. I think it was something to do with her DNA after they've been messing with it so long that it caused her to have that ability to grow. like how he gets big, she can do that. She don't get small, she gets big.
Right.
So she's one of the members of the Young Avengers. So they showed her, and then they foreshadowed showing Hawkeye's daughter in the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
Do the bow and arrow. They also foreshadowed Tony Stark's daughter putting on the Iron Man helmet, which I think they would probably go another route, but they could use her. And then what they shown, and I had to look it up to see who the damn dude was. You noticed that there was a white dude standing at the funeral that just didn't make any sense. Like, who the hell is he? You
Yeah,
notice him?
I went and looked afterwards, and then I found out who
Yeah,
he was. I'm like, oh snap, that's the kid from Iron Man 3.
yeah. So I'm thinking, did they just do that as an Easter egg, or is he going to play a role in the future with the Young Avengers?
Now that's interesting.
Yeah.
That's
So they kind of set, and then on top of that, if you look at Captain Marvel, the black Captain Marvel, which was the little black girl in the movie,
mm-hmm.
by the time that happens, she's probably around what, 19, something like that, 20.
Yeah.
Well, no, she's older than that, huh? Because Captain Marvel is in the 90s. And how old was
Oh
she in
yeah,
that
you're
movie?
right. You're right. She's grown.
Yeah, so she's probably like early 30s.
Yeah, she's grown.
Yeah, so she probably wouldn't
Definitely,
get the.
I can see that coming. Oh, also, what? Well, where do you want to go next? Because I was going to skip forward to the next thing that they
You good?
they foreshadow. A Force
When did they do that?
at the battle. Remember in the battle when all of the women came, like when Captain
Oh,
Marvel
when they
got
did like the whole feminist.
right when Captain Marvel had the gauntlet and they I think she said clear a path or something like that, and all of the women came together.
Yeah,
That was a
yeah.
nod to the A Force.
But that was so forced though, man. I was like, come on, yo.
You think so? I don't think it was forced at all.
I wasn't mad at it, but I was just like, come on, yo. Like they
I
had,
don't. I
that
don't think
that
that was
goes to.
forced. I didn't
I,
get that sense at all. It seemed very organic to me.
oh,
Even though
that.
that that's what the point was. They wanted
Hmm.
to have that moment, but if they were going to have that moment, I thought they did it in a good way.
Hmm.
What's up,
Now,
y'all? Sorry I'm late.
all right,
Hey,
what's up?
there he is.
Peace. Sorry about that. I was with my mentor. You know how that goes.
Word.
Sorry
Oh, I
about
thought
that.
you usually with him on Sundays, though.
Yeah, but tonight was one of those nights, man.
Oh, okay.
Sorry about that. Peace, brother
Hey, man.
Thorough. Sorry
Hey,
about
peace.
that, big brother. Peace. Go ahead. I'll jump in eventually.
You want to go over the first 2 points with him, or just
Oh yeah, I mean, we just talked about um how some certain people were disgruntled with how they used the Hulk, and we kind of
Oh
discussed
yeah,
why they
yeah.
did
Hell
what they
yeah.
did.
Right.
And
Okay, so I guess my
go ahead.
opinion on that, and me and Holip talked about that, but you know, if you have a problem with the way they use the Hulk, it's kind of stupid because it just shows the genius. They started that process way movies back, from Ragnarok
Yeah.
to even Avengers Age of Ultron, where Hulk got lost at the end of Avengers Age of Ultron. We didn't know where he was going. Then he shows up in that universe in Ragnarok, and then finally he has this conflict with himself during Infinity War, and it turns out here. So it's a multi-layered story that they ingeniously knew they were going to do, and it's just to me, I thought it was perfect. I really did. I enjoyed that Hulk because if you read the comic books, then you know there was a period of time where the Hulk was intelligent. My favorite Hulk, to be honest with you, is Mister Fix It, but that it is what it is. Um, but
yeah, a lot of people say that too.
now you don't like Mister Fix It, from what I
No, I
remember.
don't. I don't dislike Mr. Fixer. He's just not my favorite version of the Hulk.
Did you like Mister Fix It, brother Thurl?
I don't remember him.
Well,
He
so
he kind of
Mister
reminded me of Ben Grimm.
Mister Fix It was a ratchet version of the Hulk. He was like Mister Fix It was like this dude. He was the Hulk, but he was gray, and he used
Okay,
to remember he used to work as like a bartender and shit.
Yeah, bouncer or something like that.
but
Yeah,
see,
he was crazy.
but check it out though. The Gray Hulk was always the intelligent Hulk, though, right?
Yeah, but Mister Fix It was like a dark side of that intelligent Hulk. Like he didn't. as soon as the sun went down, he turned into him. I love that whole story, the way they did it, and it just was
When
for a
did this
short period of
happen?
time. I forget exactly what number it did.
No,
But
I'm talking about what decade? What was this? The early 90s, or when was this?
I want to say the yes, definitely the late 80s, early 90s.
Yeah, around
That
that
one,
time period.
yeah, that one missed me.
My favorite is World Breaker Hulk. I'm sorry, it's just that's my personal favorite because it's like the best of both worlds. It's like he's has the intelligence of Banner, but he doesn't have the timidity of Banner.
Right.
You know,
Now think
and he
about what
also
y'all
has
doing.
the anger.
Think about what y'all doing. See, that's what makes the Hulk such a hard character to write for, because it's just dealing with a lot of psychology and trying to pick which ego
Exactly.
wins the battle of who's going to be the Hulk.
Indeed.
Because the casuals think that there's only one Hulk. You know what I'm saying? And that's like the crazy savage Hulk, and that's it. And they want to see him destroy things like in Avengers 1.
Right.
So that's why when they saw Professor Hulk, it was kind of like a letdown to certain people. Like, what the hell is this?
Exactly.
Why is he looking all soft and, you know what I mean? So because they don't know, which I'm not mad at them, but I can see how that would trip people up and kind of piss them off.
And that's the reason why, like I said, logically, it made sense that the movie was done the way that it was, and that the Hulk's role was the role that it was. I mean, you may not like it, but it logically makes sense.
Right.
And that's the reason why it was not a deal breaker for me. Like, because I knew going into this movie, who was the likely person to end this arc, and I knew that it had to be Tony. It was either going to be Tony or Cap.
Right.
It's going to be one of those two. So if you got the Hulk, you got full power Thor, you got Captain Marvel, it's like, come on, there's no way, no way that they would have given Stark or Cap a chance to finish it. So you have to take them out somehow.
And then on top of that, if you focus on shots like that, you don't have the Scarlet Witch shot where she's about to body Thanos by herself.
Exactly.
Right.
So it would take away from those moments.
Right.
So I wasn't mad, and you know what I told Holip is that, you know, Disney was setting up what they're going to do in the future, and people need to stop looking at what they saw as the end.
Right.
The Hulk, you know, they're trying to develop a She-Hulk TV show, you know, with a movie budget. So what I said is they have to kind of explain to people, because if Professor Hulk trip them up, other stuff will too. So they had to show the casual that the Hulk can be intelligent. A Hulk don't have to be just a savage. So when they introduce She-Hulk, it won't be weird. Right. And another thing, though, and you remember Doc Samson, right? Y'all know Doc Samson.
I was getting ready to throw that out there. Go ahead.
Yeah. They have to. You know he's going to be in that because he's the one that helped Banner with that.
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying?
In the Hulk Busters.
So, man, they got to do Hulk Busters. They have to do Hulk Busters, man. So there's a lot of ways they can go with this, because we know that Professor Hulk only lasted for a certain amount of time before the Savage Hulk wins again. Right. He can only be that way for a certain amount of time. It's not forever.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So they're setting up what they're going to do in the future, and people need to look at it that way and like, oh man, since I didn't get to see the Hulk do this, you're going to see the Hulk do other stuff. Right. So don't, you know, because you already know I'm already calling that they're going to put him against Wolverine. You're going to see that sort of thing. So just chill out.
Yeah, basically.
Did you peep the Secret Wars reference when he had to hold up the
definitely. We had to hold up the building.
Yep.
Yeah,
yep.
Definitely.
Which, okay, well, now let me not go there. But check this out. So, no, because I was about to say, when someone called me, when I called them, they were like, why did the Hulk need help out of that building? Why couldn't he just threw all that stuff off of him? That became a discussion.
Oh, boy.
Right.
You know, because you know how Ant-Man had to save him. So they were like, that's BS. But that Hulk ain't as strong as the Savage Hulk.
And he was doing it with one arm.
Yeah, exactly.
Basically.
No, real talk. That's real talk. But so well, let me. Okay, so someone had peep game, and I'm like, yo, that's a great point. So they, the scene where Black Widow was talking to the holograms, of
Right.
Okoye and Captain
Oh, I know what
Marvel.
you're gonna say.
Yeah,
I caught it the
exactly.
moment they said it.
Yeah, and they were talking about earthquakes
Hmm.
beneath Wakanda, and Wakanda is landlocked. So they were saying that there was oceanic earthquakes, but under Wakanda, not around.
Right.
So what people think the reference is to Prince Namor.
Hmm.
They think that
Oh,
they're
okay.
setting up that he's there and he's gonna be the villain. Because they were like, why would they specifically want
Exactly.
to talk about Wakanda and ocean and an issue
Hmm.
unless they were setting up something for Black Panther 2, which
Yep.
people believe will be Prince Namor.
And
Y'all
now
believe that's gonna happen?
I believe 100% it's gonna happen because there's no way they would have put that in there if they weren't going with Neymar as the antagonist.
Mm-hmm.
It's an excellent choice too, because that's something that nobody is really expecting.
Hmm.
Man, I called it. I already called that.
Yeah,
Well,
you did. I remember.
definitely you. I remember you put that in the group, the movie Maniacs group. But I'm saying
Yeah,
you're a comic book head, like most of
yeah,
us. But the average brother and sister out there, they have no idea who the hell Namor is. They're
Right.
gonna be like Aquaman, So
yeah.
word up. But I want to go back to that part of the movie, the because I tried to deal with the spirituality side. To me, what was impressive though, and I think that I didn't even expect that, is when they were dealing with it sort of like it was a AA or NA meeting, and people were sitting around talking about what have you done since half the population been eliminated. It's
Hmm.
like nobody really, thinks about the psychological trauma of all those people being eliminated from the whole planet. You know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
And to me, you got to be a really good writer to go to that emotional space. Because I really was like, the average mouth breather that watched the movie, they basically was like, "Oh, the movie dragged." That shit didn't
Yeah.
drag. What are you talking about? Like, that is real emotion that you're dealing with when you have that much profound loss that affect the whole planet, and it's to just we could have criticized the directors if they wouldn't have done with it dealt with it as far as I'm concerned. Because if you would have just been like, so say for instance, I know me and you talked about this on a Saturday one time, Holip, where in Batman vs Superman, in the beginning of it, you see where I guess Bruce is dealing with the what's called the fallout of General Zod and them destroying half of New York City and shit like that, and then he just got right up off of it.
Hmm.
Like nobody dealt with that. And to me, you had to deal with that. You had to deal with how did everybody feel, and even human beings feel about half the population on the planet being getting rid of. How do people go forward after that? This is just gonna be some shit where people just throw on suits and fight Thanos.
Exactly.
You know what I'm
Exactly.
saying? So
I agree.
people just like, oh, it dragged. What do you mean it dragged? Like they had to deal with all of that. That's part of writing
It's hard
a
for me
very
to
good
believe that
story.
that movie was 3 hours long. To be honest with you,
Yeah, me too.
Hmm.
it did not feel like a three. Like because I've sat through Lord of the Rings and that felt like torture.
Oh hell yeah. Hell yeah.
And I don't think that was 3 hours. It was like two and a half. But
Nah, them shits is legit 3 hours, bro.
yeah,
Yeah, they are. They legit 3 hours. Them Lord of the Rings is
and it
long, man.
felt every minute of that 3 hours.
Hmm.
Like where you have like multiple endings, you're like, oh shit, this still going on? It ain't ended yet.
Yep.
But yeah, and I know we're talking about Endgame, but since you brought up Batman versus Superman, one of the things that annoyed me, and I said it in a group one time, and people were like, "Why you always bringing up race type stuff?" And I'm like, "Yo, how in the hell can an alien come to Earth that is a European, a Caucasian alien, and no one says anything about it? Like no one said, 'Yo, this dude white.'
Right.
Like nobody."
Right.
You have
Yep.
I'm slipping my mind. What's the newspaper owner dude? Lawrence Fishburne.
Yeah.
I forget what their name is. I would know if it was Marvel. It'd be J.
Oh, Perry White, I think his name is.
Yep.
So it's like, yo, he's black and he's a journalist, and he'd even say, yo, he's white. So you telling me that aliens are white?
Exactly.
I'm like, how can people just gloss over the fact that a damn white man with other white men from space coming blowing up buildings? Nobody brought up race. Right. And I said, yo, if a black man came from outer space, flying and shit, the first thing that's gonna be talked about is his race.
Exactly.
They'll be like, yo, aliens are black? But somehow when it's a white dude, no big deal.
You know the reason why, though. The reason why I put up these anti-SJW tiers not included thing is so I can piss these people off intentionally. It's because white is the norm.
Oh, I know that.
In their mind, it's like that's why they feel so victimized whenever you challenge the norm. Because they're like, hey, if everything just white, man, now I can calm down. It's all white. Because that's the way things should be. Yeah. But the moment you challenge that and you put anything other than a straight white male in that role, oh shit, it's like they're the most victimized people on the face of the earth, the most oppressed people, the most people that's got the most prejudice against them, because white is the norm. So Superman being white is just normal. Nobody, like if any alien comes and he's the most powerful being in the universe, he has to be white.
But you know what? The thing that's crazy though is it was black folks trying to challenge me on it.
Yes, it doesn't shock me at all.
Wow.
I'm like, yo,
shock me at all.
You let a white alien come out in this world and see what's the first thing you gonna notice about him. He's white.
Yep.
That's the first thing you will notice.
Yo, brother, this is something
real
that
life,
I always
you know what
said.
happened, right? You know what happened if it was real life? He would have flew down and shot up a school.
Yeah, sure.
Can you imagine if a black man was bombarded with gamma rays?
Oh Lord.
He would stay the Hulk.
You think Bruce Banner Hulk is strong? There's nobody gonna be strong than that version of the Hulk.
He would never be Bruce Banner though. He would stay the Hulk.
Right.
Because all the shit we go through, he would always be the Hulk.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? But yeah, that's just some sidebar, man, which is like, it was just ridiculous that, that this dude came down and let's not talk about his race. Let's talk about what's that S on your chest mean? What does that mean? Right. Forget his race. You know what I'm saying? It's like, yo, man, that to me, that's just ridiculous. But so there was so of course they foreshadowed, the Bucky and Falcon show at the end, and he put on a shield or whatever, and actually a lot of people don't know that Falcon. I don't know if he's still currently Captain America, but they don't know that he was Captain America for a while.
Right.
I think they think this is just some movie stuff.
Right.
I think most people have heard that Bucky was, Winter Soldier was Captain America. Right. But I don't think they know about Falcon. So I like how they kind of foreshadowing what they're going to do with the Disney Plus show.
Right.
Even though I read that the show might take place before Endgame.
Wow. They got a lot of big plans, man.
Yeah.
Well, how is that possible?
Well,
because isn't it supposed to be Falcon and Bucky?
Yeah, but see, it could be about when they were looking for Captain America. Or no, my bad. No, you're right.
Yeah, because Bucky went to Wakanda after he had his arm taken off. So it couldn't be during that period, and it couldn't be before that period because he wasn't even right. Like he was still on some Winter Soldier shit.
Right.
So after he came back, they fought an Infinity War. He got dusted away. So it has to be after Endgame. Yeah,
I'm gonna send you that article, but the way that somebody wrote it was like it's that Marvel was more they were talking about could they do a movie with Falcon as Captain America as opposed to the show, because the show is not gonna take place at that time that the movie was out. So I don't know, because you
Oh,
got to remember though, there was that. No, you're right, man. It has to be after that show. I mean,
yeah,
after because Falcon was dust.
right.
I have to
Falcon was
say though,
dust.
man,
Both of them was dusted. You know.
Yeah,
as we
yeah.
as we speaking on Falcon, I have to say that I really am proud of Anthony Mackie and his growth as an actor
Mhm.
from when we first saw him to now. Because we just knew him in the black movies like 8 Mile and stuff like that. And have you ever seen Hurt Locker, y'all?
I never watched it.
I saw it. Yeah, I did see that.
I mean, you can only watch it once because it's
Hmm.
long.
Yeah.
But he plays a guy that goes to overseas in the the Arab countries, and basically he's a demolition expert. He goes when there's a bomb or whatever, he goes and disarms it. And I think that's what was when he started really becoming transformative, because he really had to get into this role. And this to me shows that, amongst other things that we're learning in modern times, you don't have to go to school for everything.
Mm.
Because
Mhm.
remember when rappers were getting into acting, and people like Samuel Jackson and them was pushing back, y'all got to go to school, y'all got to go to school.
Hmm.
Mhm.
And to me, what it shows is that, you just basically have to have a passion for something and invest yourself totally in it. You don't have to pay thousands of dollars and go to some damn traditional school, because I think the brother's a good actor.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that
I mean,
applies to just about, especially when it comes to film. Film is the one industry that train. As a matter of fact, um, training sometimes could actually prevent you from being
Yep.
as creative. Like, take the perfect example is Quentin Tarantino. Quentin Tarantino just loves movies.
Mm-hmm.
He's like a fucking walking encyclopedia of knowledge when it comes to films. Like, he knows all these little obscure films, foreign films, American films. He just has a real huge knowledge base, and he's passionate about filmmaking. He wasn't really traditionally trained,
Hmm.
but
What you
yet
gonna say, Thorough?
it's hard to say that he's not one of the top directors in Hollywood.
For real.
no, I was just agreeing with you because there are a lot of people when given a chance. I mean, if you look at was it Paid in Full? Cameron did a great job. He wasn't
Oh
even an
hell yeah!
actor.
Oh my
Right.
god.
You know what I'm saying? So some people just got it naturally. They got the
Yep.
gift, and all they got to do is kind of practice it after that. You know what I'm saying? It's like
Mm-hmm.
innate in them to be able to do it.
I don't know if y'all remember. I remember when Will Smith first came on Fresh Prince, and
I don't like him, so like
well,
ain't nothing
one
you're gonna say
well
I'm
one of the
gonna agree with.
things one of the things that I noticed about him when he first came on is his comedic timing for somebody that never acted before.
Right.
Mm.
Like, he was able to, like, he really performed on the sitcom sort of like a veteran actor,
Hmm.
which was really, like, I was impressed by that.
Yep.
Just and as it turned out, he actually ended up being like one of the top actors in Hollywood.
Mm-hmm.
He fell off at this point though. What was the
But I
last
mean,
good Will Smith movie?
like there's certain things that are translatable. Like they can move from one thing to something else. Rapping is acting, man. Like you have to
Yeah.
remember your lines. You have to do shows. You have to
Hmm.
know your steps. You have to know all that. It's acting.
Truth
Yeah.
It's
be
like
told.
it's not very different from acting. That's the same way that like how to rock can act. If you're doing wrestling, you can act. Like
Right.
there's certain things that translate to other things.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
So to me, it's not weird that rappers can act because that's
Right.
what they do when they do their shows and everything.
Yep.
No, it's
A
not. It's
lot of their
not weird.
personas is
It's
acting.
not weird that they can act, but to do it on that level, because he had to carry that sitcom, and that was the first actual acting gig he ever had. That's unusual.
I don't think so. Like I don't think that it's no different than having kid and play. Like there's certain type of people who that's their personality, that's what they do, and you could just throw them on something.
Hmm.
Like it, I don't think it's that odd for an actor. I mean, for a rapper to be able to act. Personally, I don't find that odd.
No, I don't. I'm not. I don't think that it's odd. It's just that comedy is hard. Comedy is not easy. I would say that to be a comedic actor is even harder than being a dramatic actor, because
But when we were
comedy is hard to do. So when you can do that, and I'm not just saying as a rapper. I don't give a shit what industry you coming from. If they put you in a sitcom and you have to carry the sitcom and you've never done it before, that's impressive to me.
But he's not doing it alone. They're guiding him through it. But my point is that if when you listen to Jazzy Jeff and the Fresh Prince, their music was comedy.
Truth be told.
Yep. That's what it was. Yeah. So to me, it's not any. I don't find that odd, or I know you keep latching on to those words I'm using, but it's like, to me, that was an easy transition for him because that's what he did as a rapper. He cracked jokes and all that.
Yep.
Yeah.
I don't think there was any difference.
Yeah, it definitely made it easier for him to do it.
Now, if you got someone like let's say Spice One, or I don't know, like an ultimate gangster rapper or whatever, and then you put him in a comedy. I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, that's kind of weird that he could do it. Like, I'm shocked that he could do it. But when it's somebody like Eminem or somebody that's already cracking jokes as part of what they do, to me, it's just it's a seamless type of transition to me.
Well, you know what? Let me and here's a rapper I know that you have love for, and I do too. That was put in a different environment than I think he grew up in. If you remember that movie that Q-Tip was in, where he
Prison Song.
Yeah, well, he had to play a thug. Like, he was totally out of his element because he's not a thug.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, Fat Joe was more of a thug in that movie than he was.
Yeah, because he can relate to that shit.
Right.
Dude is in the Bronx surrounded by thugs, so it ain't really that much of a stretch, like he said. But perfect example I'm thinking about is, remember Lisa Bonet?
Mm-hmm.
She always sucked.
Who's that?
She always sucked. From the Cosby
I was joking
Show.
about who's that. No, I know who she is. You like, do you know who Lisa Bonet is? Like, nah, I don't know who that is, dog.
She always sucked. Always. Even when that show, A Different World, that was her show initially.
Right.
And they had to carry her. Like, everybody in that, they had to be an ensemble cast because she sucked. She couldn't carry that show by herself. But anyway, let's get back to the movie.
We digress like a mug.
Let's get back to the movie.
To be honest with you.
What's the next point?
Yeah, so one of the things that I kind of was wondering was, so Captain Marvel established that Skrulls existed. Right. I wonder if they played any part in ENDGAME. And we don't know it.
That's a good question.
That's possible. Well, it definitely gives them, like, there's so many things that they can do when it comes to the Skrulls, where you can kind of reveal later on. So I would say that it gives them an opportunity to. I don't know what direction they would go with it.
Yeah.
Can I make a confession though? Mm-hmm. As a longtime Skrull Kree Silver Surfer lover, I love Captain Marvel the movie. I did not really like the direction that went. I like the Skrulls to be evil. I do not like the Skrulls to be benevolent. I want to see.
Well, keep in mind, that was only for their situation.
Right.
It doesn't mean that that's a permanent thing.
But like, the Skrulls are not. They're a race of people. They're not all the same.
Right.
And that's what Marvel was trying to get people to understand. Like, yo, we just setting up, because really making them good was a great twist, because you already assumed they were going to be the bad guys.
True.
Right.
So they twisted it, but they're like, yo, remember now, this is just this group of Skrulls who are refugees trying to get back because they're being haunted.
Right.
So we don't, and that was in the 90s. So we don't, all the build up till now, it's like nearly 30 years. You know what I'm saying? So I when I was watching ENDGAME, I was like, yo, I wonder if any of those characters was a Skrull, and we don't know it.
I just hope, I want to see evil Skrulls. I want to see the Super Skrull. I definitely do.
Yeah. I think you're going to see it, brother. But think about it from this perspective. If you don't look at it for the long game, which is what Marvel is an expert at doing, what would if they had made the Skrulls bad, then that means Captain Marvel would have defeated the Skrulls in their first movie? True.
You're right. You're right.
So they like, to me, it makes more sense that that's a great point. The only reason why they were good, so I would say presented as being good, because I don't necessarily think that made the Skrulls good. It just mean that they had a particular interest that they had to fight for.
Right.
He was fighting for them to, find a place, a home to actually gain, because they were on the run.
Yeah, it was kind of like the underworld angle where they made the werewolves the protagonists at some point just because of their interest that they didn't want them to be enslaved, which I kind of because everybody's werewolf is always evil, and this is the one movie franchise where werewolves actually you had some sympathy for them.
Right.
No, Holip nailed it. It would make no sense to move forward with them if they were defeated in the beginning.
Right.
So, and to me, like I said, it was a great twist that they were kind of just normal. They wasn't good or evil. They were just people on the run.
Right.
That's all they were.
The only thing about I know we're getting off track a little bit, but I just want to touch on this. The only thing that pissed me off about, it didn't piss me off. People got pissed off, and I understand why. Is turning Nick Fury's eye removal into a joke. I thought that was a really bad creative choice, and it totally gave fuel and ammunition to the people who hated Captain Marvel to begin with. I didn't like that. It just seemed like a throwaway thing for a laugh. So now every time you see Nick Fury, like, come on. So every time I see Nick Fury, the first thing I'm thinking, oh, that's the cat that scratches out. Come on, man.
So a nerd had one of the blurs of the planet had said that they say now it'd be a great twist if I know it wasn't a cat, but if that cat passed on something to Nick Fury, which gave him a sort of a foresight ability that that they say he has. So they think that it served a purpose for the character to, because back then he was just regular dude. They think that the scratch actually gave him some sort of ability.
Well, then that would make sense. If that's revealed, then I would be totally cool with that. Because then it wouldn't come off as just, oh, we're just gonna do this for a laugh.
Yeah.
Come on, because it makes Nick Fury, it kind of lessens his character to me.
I think dude nailed it with that. I think it's gonna be something to that. But check this out. I'm reading the chat in Ronin Black. Now, I'm gonna give you credit for this, but it's my point. But you made a great add-on to what I was saying about the Skrull thing. He says depending on what they do with Widow in regards to her upcoming solo movie, could a Skrull have replaced Black Widow? See, they could do something like that.
That's a stretch. Only because of the relationship between her and Hawkeye.
Oh, no doubt. I'm just saying that those are the type of twists that they can hit us with, man, when it comes to those Skrulls. Because they set them up, and it's like, and it's been 30 years.
Right.
It would be a trip if one of those characters were a Skrull.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, that was one of the... Okay, so, let me see. What was another point I wanted to make? Y'all can go ahead if you have something to say. Oh, another thing that I noticed that they didn't do was Loki.
Oh, yeah.
So we were led to believe that Loki really wasn't dead.
Right.
But they never showed him.
Right.
So it goes to the thing where they're saying, was Loki someone else or what's going on?
No, actually, when I saw that, since we already know that there's going to be a Loki series on their channel, I think that was their way to go forward with that series. Because remember, according to the way that time travel worked in this movie, you couldn't change your present by going back into the past.
Right.
The present's fixed.
Yeah, the present becomes the past.
Right. Whatever happened. The only thing you can do is branch off into another alternate reality from that. So in this
how does that affect Loki?
Because that Loki that stole the cube can exist in an alternate reality, an ultimate timeline. The other Loki and their timeline is dead. Because remember when Gamora, when what's her name, Nebula killed her older self, she didn't die.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Right. Yep.
So that's how you can justify Loki existing, and you can do a series with him. But when it comes to Loki, him and Thor have been around for what, 1,500 years?
Yeah.
So you can they can start at any time. They can go before any of this bullshit even happened.
Yeah.
They don't necessarily have to go after he died by Thanos.
And so another thing that I noticed was, the Captain America scene at the end. He left with Thor's hammer, but he came back without it.
Right.
So they have maybe 50, 60 years of history that we don't know anything about. Because he came back old with nothing but his shield. And it's like, okay, they can do him meeting Wolverine. They can do a lot of stuff.
Oh yeah,
based off of those years he disappeared.
Yeah, they left themselves a lot of wiggle room to do something. Like if Chris Evans wants to come back, he can come back, because like you said, there's a whole gap. That's a movie within itself. He had to put back every Infinity Stone where it was, put back Thor's hammer in Asgard. That's a whole lot of shit. And he went and lived and had a separate life and just grew old.
And he wasn't gonna just chill out. He was gonna be fighting crime.
Right.
Exactly.
Right.
So they had, man. And the great thing about it is it's not age effective. So meaning that he could do that 10 years from now.
Right.
Because he aged in that timeline.
Exactly. So man, the way they wrote that was just so fucking perfect, man.
Hell yeah. That was a great touch, man. That was a great touch. To be, and that's why people be saying like, there was no end of credits. And to me, that was the end of credits scene.
I was so happy they didn't do the end credit scene. They would have, to me, it would have cheapened it.
Well, and I was gonna say this. To me, Avengers Endgame, were you a fan of The Sopranos?
Yeah. I never watched any of them.
Well, I watched very few of them, but I watched the very last of it.
Oh, don't tell me about it. Please don't spoil
got you. Okay. All right. Well, I guess we can't even.
Yeah, we'll leave that one alone.
I did hear that it went black. I did hear that part.
Exactly. So that's what I'm saying. To me, that's kind of like how Endgame ended, even though it just left so much open. But that last scene with Captain America was kind of like how The Sopranos ended. You saw something, but it left you up to interpretation. And it left it open for if they was going to do future Sopranos, which they didn't intend to do. But here, this is just a launch pad to so many different projects. So to have another cutscene, why would you have another cutscene at the end of it? Because that was your scene.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Like why? It's like I felt it was perfect. It was handled perfectly, and also since it was a conclusion, they just wanted to make it be a conclusion.
Right.
So now we have to wait until probably Spider-Man or some other movie to get those little Easter eggs at the end.
That Spider-Man's gonna be off the chain, man.
Well, let's check this out. So I'm always observing how they manipulate the crowd, writers, and how they film things to, draw certain emotions with the crowd. And so the scene with when Cap got the hammer, which is one of the greatest scenes in movie history to me. That was
oh my god,
that was dope, man. Like it was like what? And so, of course he got whooped, and then so now he gets a call from Falcon, and so I don't think it was a coincidence that Black Panther and Okoye that they came out first.
Right.
That was like the first resurrection that they had. Would y'all think that was because I believe that they have those discussions. Who are we going to bring to the camera first? Who are we going to resurrect first for the crowd? And I'm like, I think it's, the fact that they chose Black Panther first means something.
Right.
Oh yeah.
Supposedly Brie Larson is lobbying for some like all female Avengers movie.
Yeah, we don't need that.
It wasn't her. It was I think she kind of piggybacked on what What's the girl who plays Valkyrie?
Yeah, man, she's a lesbian anyway, so she definitely would want a all women's whatever.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm not into that, man. Like I get it, you know what I mean? Like
Yo, I thought about you when I was watching the movie, bro, because they went out of their way to inject that element into this movie.
see, now that's what I just told Holip, and he felt it was organic.
Nah,
I said they forced that on there.
Well, how? All right, this is what I have a problem with the whole force thing, and I'm gonna tell you why. How else do you do it?
I mean, son,
No,
like,
because what you're doing is you're creating a scenario where no matter how they do it, it's going to be called forced.
I mean, being in that quasi NA meeting, and the dude goes, "Did you go out with somebody?" Yeah, I went out with this dude. I'm just like, what?
Oh, you're
Like,
talking about that? No, I'm talking about the female when all of the women came together during the battle.
I just feel like there was at least 2 or 3 instances where they was making it known we are going to now have this in our universe. We're gonna have homosexuality here. You guys got to deal with it. You know what I'm saying?
I agree.
Yeah, I think they've been upfront with that. Like definitely, that's what they're doing.
No, but
They've even made a statement about it.
This is what I mean by it, because you say, well, how can they do it without it, being forced? I think that there are certain ways that organically you can. Like, I wasn't mad at the scene. I just kind of chuckled at it because I knew that was one of the things. All right, we need our all woman scene. Like, I knew that was like on the chalkboard of notations. We need one scene where all the women are on the screen together. So it's like that's like the opposite of organic. You know what I'm saying? That you purposely. It's like saying, "Hey."
Point, though? Do you get my point? There's no way, and everybody who I've presented this to has not given me a response to this. Then name a way that they could have had all the women come together that would not have been forced, and everybody would have accepted.
Here's the thing: why do you need that scene? Why do you need that? No, I'm just saying, why do you need it?
Why? All right. Why do we need a scene with Thor?
Because it made no sense that they were all
grabbing Thor's hammer.
No, it made no sense. They're on a battlefield with 3,000 things happening, with 3,000 people happening, and it just happens to be all the women characters at one time were standing in the same area. That makes no sense.
I don't know, man. It didn't bother me at all.
I wasn't mad. It was just obvious that it was like, yo, they here's their little, feminist role. I mean, feminist scene for us. I wasn't mad. I was just
they did the same thing. You remember when they did the same thing in Infinity War when Okoye teamed up with what's the name? But that was definitely. Yeah, it's obvious. Listen, you could get no argument.
I wasn't mad at that one though.
Why?
Because it was like 3 characters, man. They had like 12 characters. You know what I mean? Just happened to be at the same spot. Like, that was just.
That's one of those things where I know what they're doing. I know why they did it, and I really don't have a problem with it. I don't understand why there's this anti thing with the women. Like, I don't get it.
No, it's not that.
The women have a moment in the movie. What's the big fucking deal?
No, that's not my angle.
What's
our angle? Our angle is that it's like they do certain things that doesn't make sense dealing with the movie just to do it. I don't have a problem with you doing things that artistically fit. But when you just try to shove something in a moment just to have that moment, that's when I notice that it's forced. Like, I shouldn't even notice that like that. The fact that then here comes Wasp out of nowhere. It's like, come on, yo.
I still don't know how they could have possibly had that happen without.
Okay, so why not have all the black characters end up in one spot and see if it looks organic? But there's only 2 though. My bad. Right? There's only 2, right?
No, you got Black Panther. You got Shuri. You got Falcon. You got
War Machine.
War Machine, and who else?
Well, it looks like in the future they're gonna have the Black Captain Marvel though.
We'll see.
Yeah,
because that was one of the things that I was thinking that Captain America going back in time could deal with Isaiah Bradley.
Yeah.
Because if let's say he went back to a time where he saw the experiment before they actually did it, and then saw them giving it to black soldiers first. Like, they could go there with that if they want to leak it into Young Avengers later.
I wonder if they're going to do a movie with that Cap timeline, because they can.
Yeah.
They can so do that movie. Because a lot of shit happened in that little amount of time that he was gone.
Mm-hmm. So you think that we're being like the butthurt white dudes when we call out the overt feminist shot?
It's to me it's a point that isn't even worth making, because when it comes to everybody else getting their time to shine, that's what they do. It's like, it's not a big deal to me. It doesn't take away from the movie. I knew what they were doing, and it just came through to me like, all right, well, you're on a big ass battlefield with all these people together. It's not unlikely that would happen.
That all the women would end up in one area.
Not unlikely.
Come on, y'all. You don't get to pick and choose when somebody's swinging at you. It just happened to be that at one time nobody was attacking them, and they all got to walk forward together at one time.
I'm gonna watch that scene again because I want to see who exactly was. All I know is that it was a lot of women. I didn't know every woman that was in it, so I got to go back when I see it the second time.
It was nearly all of them.
Yeah.
I don't even think. I think they got all, but I think they got all of them in that shot. The only one I can't remember is Scarlet Witch. Like, that's the only one I can't remember if she was in that shot. Mm-hmm. But it seemed like all the rest of them were in that shot, man.
I got to check it out again. But even if they were, it doesn't bother me. Like, I don't. I find that whole thing just funny to me. That's why I put, like, and the white guys probably lost they fucking, and that's what makes me like it even more. I really like it now because I know somewhere they losing their goddamn mind.
Check this out. So, in the comics, because you know they look like that. That's their. Oh, you know what I was about to say before I make this point. It's sort of when you say how else can they do it? It's the same way that they did with Star Wars. It's so forced with the feminism. They try to make all the characters like the general. This is a woman. This and it. It's too forced. It doesn't become natural when you see it that way. I don't think people have it. I know I don't have an issue with women being the you know, so I don't care about none of that. It's just when I know that there's an agenda to it, it turns me off. Like, I just don't like people forcing things on me inorganically. I don't like that.
I don't want to lump you in with the same guys who I'm talking about, because I think your motivations for it is valid. But I don't think that any of these guys, these white dudes, they don't give a fuck how you, like, think about it. They didn't like Captain Marvel, but they telling everybody go see Alita Battle Angel. Why? Because the only woman you can accept is one that ain't even a fucking woman.
Yeah.
Like, so you can't take a real woman. You got to get some fake android woman, and then now you feel comfortable with it. It's like I don't know how you can please those dudes. Because the moment when you replace their prototype for what they feel a hero should be with anything other than that, is going to be forced. Because force is the only thing I ever hear from these guys. Oh, it's too forced. Well, then show me a way that you can introduce it where it not be forced. Mm-hmm. Or is your position that it shouldn't be introduced at all?
Oh, that's their position.
Yeah, don't fuck women. Don't have women in it at all. And let's just have all dudes. Sorry, dude, I'm not gay. Sorry. I don't need to have a bunch of sausage around. Let me have absolutely no problem with women being in those roles. Absolutely none.
Definitely.
So I understand. Like, I'm not gonna group you with those. They on some other bullshit.
Because you know what it's like, man. Okay, so for instance, how Black Panther was written, the women characters were not forced. It was organic. It made sense. So, speaking from my perspective, is what I'm saying. So I didn't get turned off by certain agendas that I knew that they were trying to, shove at.
To show you that I understand exactly what you're talking about, I'm going to give you a perfect example of what you're talking about. Remember Iron Man 3?
I try not to.
Yeah, me too. Good Lord.
Remember when Pepper Potts grabbed the armor and went on her little... That was so fucking... It was so obvious what that was.
Yeah.
So I understand exactly what you're saying. I totally get it.
You know what? And I guess when it comes to white females, because what happens is we get caught in the middle of their war. White males against white females.
Right.
And so we have to deal with the misogyny and the feminism that they push at each other. And all we are is just observers. So we have to deal with all the, you know what I mean? And so I notice when they do certain things, but like I said, it doesn't bother. I mean, think about it. We grew up to watching Wes Craven. Like all the in those horror films, the women were the ones beating Freddy. They were the ones, you know what I'm saying? So, but we had no issues with those sort of things. It's just that when it's like, yo, so because we're not being quote unquote represented, that's the new word now. The gays saying, hey, we need more representation in Marvel movies. That's the new word now. So now we're seeing representation forced at us.
Right.
And it's like, yo, I get it, man, but you have to do it in a better way. Like, I don't want to be, you know what I'm saying, caught up in their politics.
Right.
So now with the Eternal movies, they looking for two gay. They're gonna make Hercules gay, from what I read.
Oh,
and
my
then,
God, for real?
Yeah, we're talking about the Avengers Hercules.
Oh my God.
Yeah, he was not gay in the comics.
He wasn't gay in the comics, but ain't he Greek?
That's why I said I ain't too mad about it. You know what I'm saying?
So it's not that big of a stretch.
Not at all. But see, what I told someone is that they're taking the long scenic route to a black character. It's like, yo, we gonna get to y'all, but we gonna go the long way, because we know if we go the short way, y'all gonna kick back. Y'all gonna fight it. So we're gonna go through Hercules and all that, and then we're gonna end up with a black gay superhero. 100%. Because that would be what they want more than anything. But yeah, besides Hercules, they were saying they wanted another Asian character for the Eternals to be gay. Hercules? And so that's the whole pushing shit on us. That's what that is. Because
you get no argument from me, because this is America, man. This is what I tell people all the time. That's then we're gonna go off on another tangent. But I would just say this: until we get our own shit, you're gonna be subject to other people's shit, and that's just the reality of it.
Definitely.
We have to control our environment, because if we control our environment, we wouldn't even be dealing with this bullshit.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And so, and to keep going on with the gay aspect of quote unquote representation, and they will take a character that's not even gay and make them gay.
Yeah, like
that's the ultimate forcing Hercules? Stuff on people. Yeah, fuck. He was macking women. He was flirting with women.
Yeah, but
man, bro,
Hercules being gay is not really doing shit for me, because Hercules is a Greek god.
No, so. I get that, but if you read the comic,
yeah,
like, you know how like
I'm coming from is like
you know how like when I was growing up, when y'all when y'all were growing up too, Gen X, Gen Y for me, you know how like the Black Captain Marvel, she was like if you'd asked me who was an Avenger, I would have named her.
Yep.
Right.
I would have named Hercules. He was in the Avengers back then.
Yeah.
Right.
So I'm used to seeing him flirt with She-Hulk and that sort of thing.
Right. Right.
And so for them to say, oh, well, he's gay now. He was never gay.
Yeah.
So it's like, yo, you can't create a character. Why you got to take characters already established to push your agenda on them?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
I had a similar problem with them making Johnny Storm black.
Oh yeah. Well, you talking about Michael B. Jordan?
I'm like, why? I wish I could have talked to Michael B. and told him not to take that role. Like, why? Why are you making Johnny Storm black? It's like that's what gets to the point that Thuro was making. You're just doing shit just to be doing it. It makes no sense within the context of the story, the character. It's like you're just doing it just for representation alone.
Definitely.
So I agree with that.
That's Trank though. What's his name? The dude who directed the movie?
Oh, that last
he did Chronicles.
Four? Oh, I know who you're talking about. I can't remember.
Yeah, I think it's Trank. I think his last name is something like that. But yeah, he loved Michael B. So it was more of an acting thing than him trying to change the race. He was like, yo, I want him in the movie.
Oh, just to get back to the movie, I want to touch on something. And
let me say this right quick. I ain't mad at Hercules being gay because I know Grease is gay. Let me say that for all the people who Black African conscious, you know what I'm saying? He's Greek, so I ain't mad at it, but go ahead.
Exactly. There was a part in the movie, and I know you already know the answer to this, but I wanted to address it because people were confused by this. When Thanos was able to hold Stormbreaker.
Mm-hmm.
The reason why Thanos was able to hold Stormbreaker is because Stormbreaker did not have the spell cast on it. Mjolnir has the spell cast on it.
Right.
It's
And
just
if you
sword.
remember, they answered the question. Yeah, they answered the question really in the first Infinity War.
Mm-hmm.
The conversation that he had with Peter Quill. He said, well, you know, remember when he said, "Why don't we all have a weapon like that?" And he said, "You simply lack the strength to wield them."
Right.
Mm-hmm.
You know, your bodies would crumble as your mind collapsed into madness. So that's the reason why Thanos was able to hold it. It had nothing. The spell of worthiness was not cast on the Stormbreaker. It was on Mjolnir.
Yeah, and you also, but think about it this way too, to make it even more simpler.
Mm-hmm.
That Groot, that was part of Groot, and Groot held it.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it had nothing to do with that.
So I just want, because a lot of people is like, wait a minute, is he worthy? Does this mean Thanos is worthy? It's like, no,
he's not worthy. Now check this out. So someone had a conspiracy theory, and you know everybody's trying to connect with what Marvel is gonna do in the future, but they were saying that, and I you know what, I can't remember exactly the quotes that they were pulling from Endgame and Infinity War, but they honed in on the point that that Thanos never lies.
Right.
It's like, no, one thing my father doesn't do is lie. So they were saying that either he or Gamora was lying about something. I can't remember specifically what it was, but a lot of people think that, well, I won't say a lot of people. There are certain people who think that Thanos was doing what he was doing because he saw a bigger threat coming, which was Galactus. And so now this probably ain't true, man, but I just like when nerds get the creative juices going. That he was trying to, he's like a pseudo hero, that he understood that he could possibly get rid of them or make it to where certain areas ain't worthy of him taking it, because he don't take all planets. It has to be a certain type of planet. Mm-hmm. So a lot of people think that Thanos fits into a bigger picture with Galactus that we don't know about yet. Y'all think that's overthinking?
No, actually, that's a pretty good theory. And it would actually tie into the arrival of, if you're going to go the Galactus route, that's a perfect tie-in. Because the thing that, if people really got into how the Marvel universe works, it's a fucking mind fuck. You know what I'm saying? It's like, you have the Earth realm, and then you have like the universal realm and all these other realms. It's like, so then it's more like you look at the big players in the Marvel universe, like the one above all, and the what's the major, like the most godlike characters, Infinity, the Beyonder, all of those guys. Mm-hmm. In a sense, like those guys balance existence. That's their goal. Their goal is to make sure that things don't go out of whack. So Galactus serves a purpose within the scheme of that.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So Thanos thinking that, let me wipe out half the populations in the universe so that way we don't overpopulate and extend ourselves, might prevent Galactus from consuming certain planets.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it makes perfect sense. That's that's a real good one there.
Mm-hmm. I was like, yo, that's interesting.
It gives you something to think about. It's just that I know that I'm looking at the average moviegoer. Do we really want to get too cerebral on them?
Well, you know, it's funny. Like, the average moviegoer has no earthly idea how vast the Marvel universe is. Like, you start getting into people like the In-Betweener and the Living Tribunal.
Exactly.
Like, who the hell is that?
Mm-hmm.
The Watchers, these are guys. This is why, like, people wonder why are they allowing Thanos to wreak havoc. It's because he serves a purpose.
Right.
Yep.
So it's not just about good and bad and evil and this. It's about balance within the whole existence, not just the universe, everything. So it might
Now,
get a little bit trippy for people.
Now check this out. So there was a rumor that that when Marvel creates the Fantastic Four, that they may not be in present time. They might be from the 80s or something like that. It may not be, because you notice that Feige was saying, hey, there's no more phases.
Right.
And so what that makes me think is that what he's saying is everything don't fit presently. It's going to be stuff going throughout time that we're going to start doing right now. But they'll make it fit in the end. And so
let me ask you something.
Well, let me get this out before I forget.
Okay.
So what if Captain America, when he went back, he met Fantastic Four? And you know, the Illuminati, what if that happened back then? Like when he was, because you know, they're the ones who hold all the Infinity Stones or protect them, which is Namor and Reed Richards. Yeah, well, yeah, they added Black Panther. You think they would touch something like that? Like what sense would it be to put all the time stones back where they started so that same thing could happen again? What's to stop that from happening again?
Right.
But it's Captain America that went to do that. And I think that he would follow the structure though. I really do. I think that he would definitely do. Remember, we're sending the most rigid person in the Avengers. And he's not going to try to fix anything. He's going to try to keep the shit the same way it is. So in my judgment, even though what you're saying is plausible, knowing the Captain America character that they have built up over these various different episodes, I really think he would go back and do it exactly. Now, for his own life, he would say, okay, I have the ability to do whatever I feel like doing. But the mission to put those gems back where they're supposed to go, I think he would follow the exact script. But
what if something happened? What if something happened when he was trying that he can't speak on? Maybe what if they told him, hey, fam, you cannot let nobody know we're holding these stones for this reason?
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. Like that whole thing, that gap there, we can go to town with the amount of things that you can do with that. So yeah, it's plausible. But I want to ask one question, and then I want us to end on that third act. I want us to talk about that third act because that third act was crazy. My question to you, both of you, is: I know they say there's not going to be any phases. Do you think that they're going to have a shared universe, or are they abandoning that concept too?
What do you mean shared universe?
In other words, where the movies tying into each other like they did before.
Yeah, they'll tie in.
No doubt. And I think that because Disney bought all the properties, that they're going to have to. I mean, it's just it's too much for them to pass up. Because think about it, as you were talking about the Fantastic Four, I started thinking about how much Fantastic Four crosses over into the mutant property. Because you got Franklin Richards and his dealing with I want to say it's Phoenix's daughter. It's just so much that the Fantastic, like, you know, so that's why it's idiotic for you to have the Fantastic Four on one side of the planet and the X-Men on the other side of the planet. They can't talk to each other. You know what I'm saying? It's like it's good now that everything is together. Because
speaking of which, I want to give Thuro something to mess with because I know he can probably figure this out. Why? All right, we're living in a world where there's superheroes. Why are the X-Men being mutant some third rail?
What do you mean by third rail?
In other words, like the whole story behind the X-Men is how they're shunned because of their powers and their abilities. But we live in a world where there's superheroes.
Okay.
So I don't get why would the X-Men be treated badly within, by humans if the Avengers are superpowered beings. Nobody treats them badly. Nobody looks at them.
The Avengers are registered with the government. X-Men are born. See, remember, we so we're gonna want to go back and deal with how this country deals with black people and things like that. That is something that they can't control. They can't control you being born with your powers. And if it scares the living shit out of them that you're born with your powers, they don't know who you are and they can't control it. So that kind of fries their Caucasian sensibilities. And they're like, nah, we gotta control this. We gotta put y'all under wraps and do it like this. The Avengers,
and why is that? And why is that?
Why is what, sir?
When you said, well, you know what I should have said was, and let me add that you're more powerful than them, like on some other whole. Because when it comes to superheroes, now this is just me using my logic. There's a certain amount of superheroes that exist, and so the normal superhero, back in the day, it was usually because something happened, an explosion, he got bit by this, for them to become a superhero.
Right.
But with the amount of mutants, there's so many of them that they could take over if they wanted to.
Right.
And they're all a certain type of people too. So it's not like, when it comes to Captain America and all those, they're still quote unquote humans. But the mutants are something else, and they can rally under that something else.
Right. And for Magneto to throw it in their face and say, we're homo superior.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So that makes sense.
That totally fries their
They would just have
to
tweak it. They would just have to tweak it a little, where the thing that's distasteful is not their powers themselves, but because they're unknown.
Yeah, we can't control it.
And there's so many of them.
Right. Okay, that makes sense.
And that's the thing that it's kind of what Marvel Studios are gonna have to deal with. It's like, when you have the Avengers, you have like these, whatever, 10 characters or whatever, and you could deal with that. But how do you deal with a world with hundreds and thousands of mutants? So now the Avengers are not so special anymore.
Right.
When there's a whole different population of people who can do all kinds of crazy stuff. So how do you deal with that and the Avengers mean something after that?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So
you understand the point that I was making, right?
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
No, that was actually a great point. And that, to me, those are the type of questions that if I'm writing a movie or writing a comic, those are the questions I want somebody to ask me. If they were reading my script, like, yo, fam, why do people hate them and not the other? You know what I mean? Because you have to be able to say, oh, man, let me get back and write why. So that no one will ask that question. You get what I'm saying? And the other thing about mutants were a lot of them don't look good. Like all the superheroes, they seem to be very good looking people.
Right.
But when it comes to mutants, man, a lot of them don't even look human. They're like very disfigured and
especially the Warlocks.
Yeah, exactly. They have to go on the ground to hide. So that would scare people, man, if they saw, some big 10-foot whatever walking up the street. That would scare people.
Right.
So, but yeah, that's actually a great question. But what are you about to say about the third act?
Yeah, we haven't really gotten into it, but how did you feel with that third act?
You can start, man.
No, you go ahead, brother. You go ahead.
Man, I've been talking all day, man. Go ahead. We'll take a break.
So when you talk about third act, you're talking about the final battle. Is
right.
What I'm saying? First of all, man, dude, like you brothers just said, when Captain America picked up that hammer, like I was in literally like because on that day, and I don't know if y'all talked about this, but on that particular day, I didn't have my tickets yet, right? So I was going to the movie theaters. People was telling me coming through the door, we're sold out. We're sold out. Go someplace else. I went to the second one. We're sold out. Go someplace else. And then finally, I found one in this very remote white area. You know what I'm saying? So I was pretty much like one of the 2-3 black people in there. Man, when Captain America picked up that hammer, the whole movie theater was wild. I said, "Oh my God, please let there not be no serial killer in this mother." Because
for real,
you know what I'm saying? Because you in there, that's always a possibility. If any white people listen to this and y'all think I'm being extra, you know what you do. Like that's always a possibility. You know what I'm saying? So everybody went crazy when he picked up the hammer, and I felt the chills myself.
Mm-hmm.
That last act was so well choreographed. The levels of surprise in it, like when they brought all the superheroes out, and the way that they did it, and that contributed to me saying that this is the same feeling that I had when I left Return of the Jedi when I was younger.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you remember, Empire Strikes Back left you on a cliffhanger just like Endgame did. Infinity War did. And there was so many unanswered questions. And then you come into Return of the Jedi, and you see Luke is finally a Jedi. You see just a whole bunch of stuff has been reconciled, and they're ready to kick the Empire's ass. So the way all that came together, it's almost like, and I don't know if you felt this way, but before all those superheroes showed up, when Falcon said, "Cap, on your right," I had totally forgot about all those people. And I was just thinking that just going to be those superheroes that was there, they were going to fight Thanos, and somehow it was going to be, you know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
And when they brought all those people out, I was just like, oh shit, you're going to have them too? And he still held his own.
I did not expect like all the, you know, the Doctor Strange's crew, like they had the whole Marvel universe was there. Like literally.
Yep.
Right.
Yeah, that shocked me. I was not expecting that.
Yep.
Yeah, that was very satisfying, man.
Mm-hmm.
And that whole thing, with Cap picking up the and the whole fight itself, like him playing with Mjolnir against the shield and all that stuff. That was some crazy shit, man.
Man.
Yeah, even the way that like this is gonna sound kind of weird for me to even bring this up, but even when Fat Thor, which, you know, I gotta ask y'all, what did y'all think about Fat Thor before I go on?
I thought it was hilarious. And it made perfect sense, because let's think about Thor's character. First, he loses Asgard, takes the people, right?
No homo.
See, that shows you where my mind is, because I didn't even get that when you first. All right. Then Thanos attacks his ship. He loses half of his people. Then Thanos snaps his fingers. He loses
another half
of that. He loses his brother. He loses his best friend. And he didn't kill him when he had the opportunity to kill him before the snap. Right. So does it make perfect sense that dude was in a position that he was in? Perfect
to just
sense.
Be miserable.
Yeah, just fuck. What the fuck is this all about? All my people is gone. All my people is dead. I couldn't even avenge them when I had the opportunity to. So him being fucked up was perfect. Perfect.
Okay, so y'all were okay with Fat Thor?
I was cool with Fat Thor.
It took me it really literally took me a while to accept it. I was disappointed at that. I'm not gonna lie to you.
Me too. Me too.
I really was. I wanted to see Thor in that battle as himself, and I can see Holip. I understand what you're saying, and I agree with what you're saying. That is, you know, that is very understandable. That's how he ended up. But Thor being fat and out of shape and all that other stuff, like come on, dude. Like I don't know. I was disappointed in that. I wanted to see Thor in that fight. I wanted to see him himself.
Now, Thuro had a point. Now, are you going against your own point, Thuro?
No, I was about to say it. That's where my butt comes in. But the Thuro movie watching cheat sheet is you have to find a way to bring down the overpowered characters.
Right.
Or they will destroy the movie because they're too powerful. So they had to make Fat Thor. They had to. They had to find a way to where he wouldn't be as powerful as he was in Infinity War.
What do you think going forward is or what they're trying to do? Because apparently he's giving up his rulership of Asgard, and Homegirl's going to run it. So the question is, what are they planning to do with this dude?
Well, now someone said that. Now I think it makes sense, but what they were saying was, you know how he ended up, you know, with the Guardians at the end of the movie,
right?
That Marvel they wrote that. They already did that before they got the pedophile back with Guardians. And so they what people believe is that they were going to use the guy who did Ragnarok, and that's why they put Thor with Guardians. You follow what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but
So
like him and the other directors sort of like got together to refuse to do it in protest of the dude Gunn.
Well, you know, he said he would feel bad doing it. I don't think he refused to do it. He felt he said he would be uncomfortable doing it. At the end of the day, he was gonna do it.
Really? Because that's not what I heard. I thought that he was definitely not going to do it.
Dude, so okay. Let me put it to you this way. Well, you know what? And I'm being spiteful. So maybe I'm wrong. But this is my perspective.
Mm-hmm.
You're gonna turn down Marvel, which is Disney, and pretty much cut yourself out of 3/4 of Hollywood. Because they own now Fox and everything.
Yeah.
So if they'd have been like, yo, fam, we need you to do this movie, he was gonna do that movie, in my opinion.
Yeah, money talks.
Dude, you don't want to piss off Disney right now. They got a monopoly on Hollywood.
And they actually, you know what, really, the most shocking thing to me was that they got Natalie Portman back.
Yeah, she
when I saw that,
scene.
I was like, I thought that she wanted nothing to do with them. So when I saw her, I was like, oh shit, they got her back for that short scene. That was kind of surprising to me.
But yeah, let me say this about the third act though. Yeah, that was to me is because you know how when you said you made a point and I made a point very similar. There would be people who would say that they like Infinity War more than Endgame, and I said, well, I get that, but I see them as one movie. The reason why Infinity War had an advantage was that it had the ability to just be an action movie.
Well, wait, slow down. You said there's people that say they liked Infinity War better than Endgame?
Yes.
Who's that?
Yes.
Oh my God.
Who are those people?
Oh my God.
I'm not, keep in mind, I'm not putting down Infinity War because I loved Infinity War.
Yeah, but
I'm just trying to figure out who is the person that's saying that was a better movie than this.
One of them was a person who, well, never mind, let me not say that. Let's just say they exist.
You don't want to say their name?
No, I'm not going to do that.
All right, we won't do them dirty.
Yeah, but I can see how someone might believe that because, like I said, Infinity War was based off of a war. It was based off of the action. In Infinity War, in Endgame was based off of what happens after the dust settles. You know what I mean? Like, how can we fix what happens? So it takes a while for it to get back to the action. So, okay, so y'all say Endgame is better?
Without a doubt.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay.
Without a doubt.
I think, and to be honest, that makes it even more impressive because Infinity War was no joke.
Not at all. It was
so
crazy.
The fact that they were able to up the ante and really do, because like I said, the third act alone is untouchable. Untouchable.
Yeah, nobody will ever touch that.
Yeah, I don't see how you're going to be able to outdo that. I really don't think this type of movie is going to be done again. That's my personal opinion. They're going to have to go a completely different route.
Feige already said it. He said that they probably won't do that, and we didn't know what he meant, but that's what he meant. Like, yo, that was hard to pull off. I don't know if we could pull that off again.
Exactly.
But I think that he could. But it's like, yo, we're gonna take a break. You won't see this for another 10 years, is what he said.
Yeah, exactly. I don't see how, because I don't see how they can do it. Oh, there was a question that I had. Damn, go ahead, because I don't forgot it. Go ahead.
So what are y'all so Mello said it was her. She wanted you to know it was her who said she was one of the people.
Oh, okay. Hey, you know what? Both movies were so good that I really can't complain. If somebody liked Infinity War better than Endgame, I ain't mad at them.
We ain't definitely mad at you.
I ain't mad at them because they both great movies.
So let me ask y'all this: what? Because I said that. Okay, let me put it to you this way: what would be your main focus if you were Marvel Studios for the next 10 years? Like, what would you center your universe around?
You just made me remember what I was going to ask.
Well, you
Why
go
does
first. I
everybody
need a little bit of time
assume?
to think about that one.
Why does everybody assume if the Avengers, like, this was a 10-year culmination, um, ending with Endgame for the Avengers? Why does everybody assume that the next phase, or for lack of a better word, the next um story arc going forward is going to be about the Avengers?
Because we're assuming.
It's not like the Avengers are the only team, and now they have access to all their other properties. Why wouldn't the next phase be the Fantastic Four?
Yeah. I mean, remember I said your X-Men movie should be Avengers movies now. They should
Right.
not ever be together until there's X-Men movie.
Right.
So you can build those characters the same way you built the Avengers with solo movies.
Yep, that's one route to go.
Yeah, but like I think now this is just my opinion. I think there would be more of a literal shared perspective now. I think that it will be beyond the Avengers, but like you can't give that brand up though. It's too powerful right now. That brand is bigger than Star Wars.
No, that's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking that going forward, if you were going to do another 10-year situation, I would think that you would have to have it centered around Fantastic Four, Avengers, and X-Men. Because somebody, I don't remember exactly where I saw it, but somebody said that they're teasing an Avengers, X-Men kind of movie. And remember how crazy that comic book was.
Yeah.
So for my money, I think that there's plenty of characters and storylines for you to intersect. If you tried to weave Fantastic Four, Avengers, and what you call it, which to me would be wonderful because that means we're getting at least 2 movies a year again, possibly 3. But if you weave Fantastic Four, Avengers, and X-Men together going forward, you got enough storylines to build up. And then, like you said, if Galactus is the ultimate enemy, that would be fantastic just to see how they did that. Because there's some parts, like if you're a Fantastic Four reader and a Silver Surfer reader, there's many complexities to Galactus' personality and why he does what he does.
Yeah, you know what? I would prefer if Galactus is the cosmos threat, as they're moving forward, and Doom is the Earth threat.
Yeah, that would be cool. That would definitely be cool. But you got to build up Doctor Doom.
Yeah,
you got to. He's got to be the main bad, Earthbound, and Galactus is the like you said, the cosmic threat.
Yeah, the cosmic universe, because we already know they're going that route with it. That's why they're taking Thor up there, so they're about to build that part of their universe.
It has to be, to me, if you're going to have an Avengers movie or you're going to have a team movie, there has to be 1 or 2 people that are the center of that kind of the glue that holds that team together. And I think that you got to develop. They got to be. I know Marvel is going through great lengths to pick the right Reed Richards because he's a natural person to step in charge.
Mm-hmm.
He's the natural.
But they already have, like, because to me now that was when it was happening in real time. I'm like, yo, they would. Did I say it on a show, or I can't remember if we talked about it on one of these shows where I said that Black Panther, I think we did talk about it. I said Black Panther proved that they can, like, basically get rid of Iron Man now because of his popularity.
Right.
So that's like, we can't sleep on what he's going to mean to the next 10 years.
Yeah, that's true. Because he's another candidate too. Only thing that I was thinking is because the Black Panther solo series is so popular, whether that would take away from him being the leader of the Avengers. I don't know.
Who was that white football player that said Black Panther was the worst movie ever made?
His brother plays for San Diego. The Chargers.
Trump supporter.
Yeah. Bosa. Nick Bosa.
Yep.
Yeah, fuck him.
He's a Trump supporter. So what do you expect?
Yeah.
Like, obviously, if you're a white person and you support Trump, you better be a very rich person. If you're a working class person or poor person and you support Trump, you're a fucking moron.
Yeah.
Word up.
So it makes sense that he's a Trump supporter because he's a rich dude. You know, he's getting his tax cuts and whatever. So
and I'm sure that
matters.
And I'm sure that Marvel cared after he spent his money what he thought.
Right.
You know what I mean? Those the dudes like him, they still go to those movies though that they complain about.
Yep.
Yeah.
Like the stuff I don't like, I don't support at all.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying?
Like, do you see black folks complaining? Like, black folks will go to a movie, and the only thing we care about whether the movie is good. We'll go and see a Terminator with no black people in it, enjoy the movie, go and see comedies with all white people, no black people in it, enjoy it, laugh, not have a problem. These motherfuckers get their panties twisted in the butt. And that's the reason why I feel the way I do about the whole female scene. I hope that shit drove them fucking crazy.
Oh, thank you for saying that. So I know that they knew. I mean, yeah. Well, we know that they know about that crowd that was trying to derail Captain Marvel.
Yeah.
So what I think they need to do, which would go against my whole pro-blackness, is that they need to deal with it like they dealt with the comics, and they need to go ahead and in the comics, y'all know who Captain Marvel was dating?
No, who was Marvel dating in the comics?
War Machine.
Word?
I did not know that.
They need to do that to piss them off.
Yeah.
They need to go ahead and have Don Cheadle tonguing her in the next Captain Marvel movie. And they need to put it on the trailer.
Let's do it. Let Rhodey get some cosmic ass. I'm down for that. Drive them fucking crazy. Anything that will drive these assholes crazy, I'm down with. If it pisses them off, I'm a fan of it.
Yo, fam, they need to do it, man. Because that earned them a cool $1 billion. You know, pissing them off. Why not do it again? Piss them off. Go ahead and have Don Cheadle tonguing in the trailer, and see how they feel about that one. Okay, but before we go, we gotta touch the Game of Thrones.
Oh, the last
Yeah,
that was crazy. Well, are you into Game of Thrones, Minister?
No.
You gotta listen, son. I don't like
What?
you. I know you. You are gonna love Game of Thrones. You need to just one day just go through episode, season by season. Take your time, but I guarantee you're gonna love that series.
Wow. I don't want to say nothing now.
Go ahead,
don't say nothing. Don't say nothing about
it. No, I'm not gonna spoil it for you, man.
Yeah. Don't say
you
nothing.
need to watch that, man.
Okay.
You know what?
Right?
It's 8. This is season 8. This is the last season. But trust me, it's worth it.
Oh my God. So I don't give false praise to shows or movies. Like I'm a very harsh critic. You know what I'm saying? Like if I don't like, I'm like, yo, that was corny. But like when I say that's one of the best shows ever, like I literally mean that. The way it's written, the action, the drama, everything is perfect. There's not. The only thing is wrong with it is all the gay shit that be in it sometimes. but other than that, man, it's a perfectly written, filmed. I'm calling it a movie because it is like a movie.
It is a movie. It's like every show that you see on Game of Thrones is like a movie on TV.
Yeah.
There's no other show I can think of that's better than it.
No.
It's the best show on TV ever.
No, I mean it's one of the best shows ever. Like what would you say is like, oh yeah, that's way better than, like it's in the top 3 for sure.
Nothing. The only show I would probably put behind Game of Thrones, my top 3 TV shows of all time is Game of Thrones, Breaking Bad, and The Wire.
I never watched Breaking Bad.
Oh God. All right. Minister's gonna watch Game of Thrones. You gotta watch Breaking Bad. Because if I'm putting it anywhere in the vicinity of Game of Thrones, it is good.
Hey, check this out. I heard so many people like that I trust, like, yo, because when it was actually on air, they was like, they assumed I was watching. Like, yo, man, I'm like, dude, I never watched it. Because you know how sometimes when you miss like the first season, and you like, yo, I'll just wait type thing. I never got to it. But if it's like The Wire, because The Wire to me, that's in my top 3. You know, so
and Game of Thrones has had some episodes. I see. I don't want to spoil anything. I'll just say this:
man,
Game of
the
Thrones has had
Red Wedding.
episodes that have made me feel like somebody put a baseball bat to my stomach. Like
Yeah.
I'm talking about some really highly emotional. They take you on these rides and fuck you up in ways that you don't even know. Like I said, just watch that. Minister can watch Game of Thrones. You watch Breaking Bad.
Mm-hmm.
You make sure you do that.
What's
Just
the next
check
Marvel
this
movie
out.
coming up, y'all?
the
Say
next
again?
movie coming up is Godzilla.
No, I'm saying what's the? Well, we know that, but I'm saying
Oh, Spider-Man,
Yeah, Spider-Man 2. When's Spider-Man coming out?
July
Okay.
4th, I believe.
I think Godzilla's coming out the beginning of June.
See, now here's the thing. They showed the trailer to Godzilla, during Avengers,
Mm-hmm.
and it said the King of Monsters. I'm like, I thought Godzilla was a chick.
Oh, you mean because of the baby?
It says King of.
No, Godzilla was never a chick. That was just bad writing.
So that was just a little.
That was
somebody.
when you remember when they tried to make Godzilla kid friendly?
Yeah.
They came up with the Godzuki shit
Yeah.
bullshit. That was all just bad. Godzilla's
Godzuki. I remember that.
He had to step on his tail for him to breathe fire.
Yeah, that was bullshit. First of all, if Godzilla was a female, who was the fucking husband?
Yeah.
It was just bullshit, right?
But I guess the same thing could be saying about a dude would know, but they would come out of an egg or something, right? That's a reptile.
Yeah, but aren't they female and male reptiles?
No, I mean, but wouldn't Godzilla have come out of an egg? Or is Godzilla from this planet?
It's sort of a mystery behind it. Like, it's different theories about where Godzilla emerged from, because like they say he could be a radiated dinosaur.
Yeah.
It's all kinds of theories, but he ain't no fucking chick.
Okay, I was just like, yo.
Yeah.
Check it out.
I guess he would have been called Godzilla if he was a woman.
Right, exactly.
Did you like the one that they did like a couple of years ago, like maybe 4 or 5 years ago?
I liked it. I mean, it wasn't
indifferent.
The thing about it was, and I can sort of understand why he says he's indifferent, because the thing I liked about it was at least it kept true to the spirit of what Godzilla is. That first one with Matthew Broderick, that movie pissed me off so much. I think I hate that movie with the passion of with burning suns, man. I hate that fucking movie because I was a big Godzilla fan growing up as a kid.
Me too.
I used to draw Godzilla. I get Godzilla models. So I was a big Godzilla fanatic. So when I saw that movie come out, I'm like, what the fuck? Who was somebody drunk when they came up with this shit?
Word. I didn't see that one. I saw the one from a couple of years ago.
This movie at least captured like the spirit of Godzilla. It didn't look exactly like when you saw the profile or the silhouette of Godzilla, you knew that was Godzilla.
I still think that
the first one didn't have the fire. He didn't breathe any. He didn't have atomic breath in the first one. I'm like, what the fuck? Who thought of this?
Word? No fire breath?
No, it was bullshit.
Oh,
absolutely, and it was a ripoff of fucking Jurassic Park and Aliens.
Oh man!
So when this guy came up with the one that you're talking about, the 2014 Godzilla, it kept true to the spirit of it. It wasn't a fantastic movie, but it was 100,000% better than that bullshit that came before it, and it set the table for what they're going to do now.
I would say, I mean, I didn't dislike it, you know what I'm saying, but it wasn't all that, you know. And
right. I can understand that.
I like the historical part of it, you know what I'm saying. That was cool the way they tried to tie that into World War II. But for me, it first of all, it took too long for you to see Godzilla.
Right.
And then those two monsters that he fought was herbs. It's just like, you know, what we're gonna see at the end of this month with Ghidra and Rodan, that's what I want to see.
Exactly.
I don't want to see them two bitch ass people. I mean, like, come on, man.
Now, I can't front. I was very skeptical about how they were going to pull off just the whole narrative of where those monsters came from. But when I saw the trailer, I'm like, yo, okay, it seems decent.
Yeah.
You know, because it's hard to do that, you know, like we talked about last time. It's anything that's that big, it's hard to write a story for. That's like how we say with Galactus.
Right.
It's hard to write stuff for giants. You get what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And so the trailer looked decent. And you know, I think we may have talked about it last time with like Pacific Rim. They did a great job of explaining why they needed this and where these monsters came from.
You mean the first?
Y'all did, yeah, the first Pacific Rim.
Oh yeah, first one was good.
And you know, I think I may have told y'all this before, but I was pissed because I'm like, yo, that should have been a Voltron script. Because when you create Voltron, it has to be for a reason. You're just not going to create a big, tall robot for nothing.
Right.
So the Pacific Rim story was perfect for a Voltron movie. And the fact that we haven't had a Voltron movie yet is crazy.
Word. Oh man.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Oh, and of course we talk about Thundercats. They're finally moving forward with the He-Man movie, and they got this corny actor. I'm like, yo, why they pick him, man? Did you see the dude that they picked for He-Man?
Yeah.
What the hell were they thinking, man?
Whenever you have people that are not really fans of the source material, just beware. Because you're going to get a bunch of bullshit. You're going to get traditional Hollywood thinking. And that's the reason why Marvel has done so good, is because Kevin Feige is a comic book head. He collects the shit. He knows about these characters. And that's unusual when you have somebody that's the top producer that is so invested in the source material. That's unusual.
We are getting another Marvel movie.
Yeah.
Unfortunately,
Spider-Man.
we're getting Phoenix.
Yeah, Phoenix.
Oh, you consider that a Marvel movie?
You know what? The third trailer didn't look too bad, man.
Oh man,
it didn't look too bad.
I'm gonna give it I'm going to see it. You know that. I'm gonna go and see it, but I'm really like.
Yo, check this out though. First Class is still one of the better comic movies ever.
Yep.
I love that movie.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? So
I don't know what the
they got that right.
Yep.
They got that one right. They got X-Men 2 right, and they got Logan right.
Right.
Yep.
So they entertained us. You know what I mean? That's what we talked about with Apocalypse. It wasn't no shitty movie. It just wasn't the X-Men.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's like, yo, we deserve, and that's why I just can't. So when Feige said, hey, we won't see the X-Men for at least 5 years, it's like, yo, don't say that, man. You know how long we've been waiting to see something done right?
But then again, man, Marvel throws curveballs. They might be telling you that and do something else because I
don't believe them.
Yeah, don't believe them.
I don't believe them.
So they're saying that there's a Thundercats movie coming out?
Man, they've been speculating the Thundercat like development the same way He-Man has been under development for like damn near 10 years now. And it's like, yo, fam, like
properties.
Dude, because the script goes through so many people's hands because it gets old and then someone else has to write a new script. And it's like, yo, like He-Man should be, this is what I would do. I would holler at Peter Jackson, who did Lord of the Rings, say, hey, man, we need an epic medieval type superhero story. You did a good job with that. And you take it serious, man.
Right.
But like the dude that they got to do it, it's like, yo, man, I could tell y'all just gonna throw some bullshit out there and hope that it will, because it's like comic booky, that it will make a little dough for you. I don't think they're gonna really care. And if you looked at the did y'all watch the last He-Man animation show?
No.
Okay, so on the last one, I think you can go to YouTube and watch them. But they actually finally got it right. So they kind of explained how Prince Adam became He-Man. You know, so it wasn't like in an old school, cartoon where he and He-Man look exactly the same, just with a different, without his purple stuff on. You know what I'm talking about?
Mm-hmm.
So Prince Adam is actually a little skinny teenage boy like Shazam, and then he becomes He-Man. And so when Grayskull, that's what his name was. The real He-Man. His name was Grayskull. And so Grayskull got murked. I think Skeletor murked him. This is before Skeletor got disfigured.
Mm-hmm.
And so the sorceress kept his essence, I believe, and put it in a sword until somebody was, worthy of it or whatever. And that's why he said by the power of Grayskull, and he becomes You know what I mean? But but Skeletor remembers the real one. So he's like, yo, you ain't no fucking, he's smacking him. You ain't no damn Gray Skull. I killed him. You ain't shit. You're a fake copy of him. You know what I'm saying? So they dealt with the more serious aspect of the story. And the character in the universe is vast. So it's like, yo,
man, that shit sounds interesting.
Man, it's dope, dog. Because like I said, in Stratus, like he was black, which I thought was dope. The dude with the bird feathers, y'all remember Stratus?
Yep. He kind of looks black in the cartoon.
He actually does. But like they actually went, they fleshed the story out more grand and more up to date. And so my point is that, yo, man, you can make a great medieval trilogy out of that. You have a medieval superhero.
Right.
And it's like, don't play with it and make it campy and stupid and to where when it fails, they'll never do it again. You know what I mean?
American Indian.
You gotta have somebody that understands those properties, man.
American Indian 2020 says something that I agree with. He says, let Coogler make the Thundercats. I think that would be off the chain.
You know what? No, we need Coogler focusing on damn Black Panther.
Yeah.
We don't need him. We don't need him messing with nothing else right now.
Exactly.
See, you know what? Coogler, okay, so I'm Mr. and Coogler I trust. I should have made t-shirts out of that. He probably would have gave me some free tickets to the premiere. Because I was shouting him out before he got the Black Panther thing. I was like, yo, why ain't they using, because Coogler hasn't made a bad film yet, dog. You notice that? He hasn't made one bad, like Coogler. That's why I said, yo, if the Russos did want to hang it up, boom, put Coogler in it as Avenger director. So seamless.
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying? So yeah, Coogler can make anything great. He can make, and the one thing that I hope he would do, which it probably would be him doing too much, I hope he does the Storm movie if they do one. Like I want him to do that character. Or I would like for him to pick the person who's gonna direct that movie.
Yo, I hate to cut this conversation short, but I gotta get out of here because I gotta go to work tonight.
Do you? Damn.
Yeah.
All right, man.
But it's been real. Thank you, Thuro. It's always a pleasure.
Word up.
All right, Dan.
We coming back together for Godzilla or what?
Man, we could come back before that. Like, just pick a day if y'all want to do it again.
Yo, but here's what I want to throw out at you before Holip leaves. We are going to do a kind of like a black nationalist hip hop show from the 90s. So it's going to be me, Holip, you, definitely, Ishmael Bey, and we wanted to just talk about hip hop from the 90s and really.
Oh, hell yeah.
Yeah, so
I'm definitely down with that.
Let's do that in the next couple of weeks. I will. Okay. I definitely will.
Yeah.
All right, yo. Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't say anything to people in the chat room. Peace to everybody in the chat room.
Man, you know what? But before you go, like, I felt bad because I looked on here and I'm like, yo, they were saying some good stuff that we should have been. So next time we do it, we need to keep an eye on this.
Yeah.
And respond to people's suggestions and points and questions and stuff.
Yeah, definitely. We'll give y'all more bite the next time. All right, y'all?
Word.
Yeah.
All right, y'all. I will holler at you good people later.
Yes, sir.
Peace.
Peace.